Hello, welcome back. I'm joined by John McGloin, the CEO of Inferred Resources. John, good to see you.
Good to be here, Peter.
To begin with, let's start with a bit of your background before we actually move on to the company, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, sure. So prior to joining Inferred Resources, I was, in the far past, I was the CEO of Amara Mining, which was a gold producer and explorer in West Africa. We had a big discovery in Côte d'Ivoire near Yamoussoukro, which we sold on to Perseus, and then basically the team left, and I looked around for quite some time to look at other projects, and eventually I saw this project here with which Inferred has just acquired through the acquisition of Moidao Holdings. The team I thought was brilliant, but not only the team, but the project was a great project. So it's basically going to see the transformation of diamond fields from what was a diamond explorer into a gold company.
So at the moment you're suspended trading. That's obviously based around this acquisition,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So the shares have been suspended as the two companies have come together. So the shareholder vote was passed last Thursday, I think. So we're just waiting for sign off from the exchange, and we should be trading in the next couple of weeks or so. And we think that on the back of that should be around about 180 million shares in issue, which, well, who knows what the share price is going to be in this market, but we're hoping that the share price will hold at where the last funds were raised, which is around about 20 cents Canadian, which would give us a market cap of approximately $28 million.
That seems to me fairly cheap considering you'd now own already a resource of around 600,000 ounces, right? Let's talk a little bit about the project and why you decided to purchase it.
So the project is located in southern Burkina. I've got experience in Burkina. When I was with Amara, we had the Kalsaka deposit in northern Burkina. We're in much further south, right down against the Ivorian border. Which is, Burkina has its issues, but that part of Burkina is pretty quiet. And it's on the Bamfora belt, so it's really actually, as projects go, it is not remote. It's like it's an hour and a half south of Bobo Diossolo, which has an international airport. It's about 30 kilometers outside of Bamfora town. There's accommodation, hotels, good internet, and good access to property on tar and dirt roads. So yeah, so it's a very well located project, but more interestingly is for the first time we basically put this project together. So it has previously been held by High River Gold, which is now Nord Gold, and Taurus Gold. Yep. But they had two separate properties, and then there was an artisanal property between them. So we've managed to pull the whole thing together, and we've subsequently increased the size of the license. So we now control around about a 30 kilometer strike of mineralized belt, and it's in a mineralized zone that's approximately 5 kilometers wide, and well, at least 30 kilometers long, but actually much longer than that. So we're really excited to get back in and start drilling there.
You have a JORC resource on the project already.
Yeah, 43101. It's
43101.
Yeah, it's just the same thing.
Same thing.
So that's combined indicated and inferred. So indicated, I think we've got around about 240,000 ounces at 1.57, and inferred, I think it's around about 370,000 ounces at 1.65. So around about 1.6 is the grade. So that's a really good grade for that part of Africa. But really interestingly, there are we've identified a number of structures, and we've only really drilled out a very small portion of that of two of those structures, and only down to a depth of around about 100 meters. So typically these beryllium systems go down 300 meters or more. So we've got a number of ways that we can cut this thing. We could continue drilling on the known area and deepen it to increase the resource, or what the approach that we're taking is we're stepping out onto some of these newer structures, and we know there's mineralization there because there's a lot of artisanal activity and quite intense, and going down to depths of like 40-50 meters. So you don't go down to those sort of depths for a gram or 2 grams. It's much bigger. So we're hoping to as we continue this project to grow the resource, but also maintain that grade. But we have to wait and see. I understand there's a lot of arm waving happening here at the moment, but I think that the proof of the pudding will be in the results that we've got from this current drilling program.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think it's too much arm waving. You've already got a resource of over 500,000 ounces, 600,000 ounces, right? You're doing a current drill campaign at the moment. Maybe you could touch on that and how many meters you're doing.
Yeah, sure.
When the results are due, because I think that ideally, I assume following that, maybe a new updated MRE. Or
I'm not sure whether. We'll have to wait and see. It would be good to get to that. But what we've done in this campaign, we raised, like just prior to coming back to relisting, we raised another 3 million from existing shareholders and management put their own money behind this because we believe in the project, and that has allowed us that will fund us through to the end of the year, and it will allow us to do this 5,000 meter drill program, which is an RC program. We're also we've got all the old core and all the old pulp, so after this program we're going to go back, re-log, we do an XRF on those to get a proper lithological understanding. But this program will, part of it, the first 2,000 meters are aimed at improving the integrity of the existing drilling, so bringing the spacing down and filling some gaps in. So there is potential there, I think, to add ounces. But the really exciting bit is stepping out to these new structures that we see. I mean, we've got a couple of them. Kieran, our geo, will touch on those in a few minutes. But some of those structures, are wide zones with a lot intense artisanal activity, and we're hoping that as we drill those, that we'll be able to demonstrate. It won't be a resource because the drilling spacing will be too wide, but we're hoping to demonstrate to people what the potential is, and then for people to say, well, look, if you close that drill spacing down, you're going to add ounces. So it's a teaser, I guess, for a fundraising at some point in the future.
Right. Okay. So just in terms of timeline, I might have missed it, but the new set of drilling, this 5,000 meters that you're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
That will be due roughly.
Well, so we started it actually 2 weeks ago. So the intention is to have strong news flow between now and the end of the year. But so first drill results, we're anticipating those back in the next few days, and then we'll complete that 5,000 meters over the next six weeks. So probably not the best time to be bringing news out into the summer, but we'll have news flow coming out into the summer. We're doing other things as well. We're doing mapping, to ground truth what we've seen from remote sensing and geophysics, which had been done earlier. And so while the really exciting drill results, will finish in the next few weeks, the other results will allow us to go on to onto a bigger program. And I guess the thing about this project is we're not stuck for places to drill. I mean, we could go out and drill. We've got drill targets for about another 30,000 meters of drilling, which we think could really open up the project. We're lucky, in the junior mining space or the junior exploration space. One of the challenges is always is the market going to be there at the time that you need the money? Do you take the money when the market's there, or do you wait for your results? So we're lucky in that the investors we have are willing to back us through this story. So we've got two big shareholders as the deal came through. So Jean-Ramon Bull was the large shareholder behind Inferred Resources, and Brian Kiernan is the large shareholder behind Moida. So those two guys together combined will have around about just over 70% of the company post the listing or post the relisting, and management backing themselves will have about 7 or 8%. So shares are pretty tightly held. There is a small free float there, but the intention is to try and get another couple of big investors in to basically take this story through with momentum, so that we get a couple of rigs on site and we bring it to a PEA or a feasibility study over the next 36 months, so 2 or 3 years, is what we hope to carry this forward.
Awesome. All right, well, why don't we get your colleague involved, and we'll talk a bit more technical.
Yeah, that's probably the thing to do.
And then we'll finish up after that.
Lovely.
So second part, we're going to try and get a bit more technical and around the history of the project. So I'm joined by the VP of Exploration, Kieran. Just to start things off, I guess 600,000 ounces, but only 3,000 meters of drilling.
Right.
There's a reason behind that.
There's a reason behind that.
Maybe you could give us a bit of an insight into what's been going on over the last few years.
Sure, Peter. Yeah. So what happened was we acquired two large drilling databases. The project area had been held, or at least part of the project area had been held by different licensees in the past, and some significant work done by two companies in particular, High River Gold and Taurus Gold. And between the two, there's an aggregate of about 65,000 metres of drilling done historically. Most of that was between, say, 2006 to 2012. And one of the first things we did when we got hold of the ground, it was the first time that the entire ground package had been consolidated into one project. We sought whatever data we could find and went to some considerable lengths to get hold of whatever historical data we could get our hands on. And we put a lot of time and effort and, of course, money into taking that data and going through it with a fine-tooth comb and looking at everything from assay methodologies, QA/QC data, in particular survey data. We went out and resurveyed drill hole colours wherever we could find them in the field. We realised that in the past companies had been looking at things like different elevation datums, for example, which made it very difficult to just take that data and turn it into something usable without doing this considerable amount of work. So we spent a lot of time and effort on that, and that really paid dividends. When we had done that, we decided we needed to validate if we wanted to get any resource information out of that drilling data. We realised we had to go out and validate that, and we drilled in 2021 3,500 metres of confirmatory drilling, and that really did a good job of validating that historical database and gave us really good consistent results. We went to great lengths to look at different assay methodologies. For example, we did a lot of bottle roll tests, leach well bottle roll tests alongside fire assays, just to make sure that we fully understood what we're looking at in terms of how mineralization and basic metallurgy. And it all turned out really well, and we're in the happy position in December 2021 to be able to announce a very significant NI 43101 compliant resource.
Awesome. And this, just I know we touched on it earlier with John, but maybe let's just look at the drill program at the moment. So I assume, is that still more infill that you're doing at the moment, or are you now starting to step out and really start to explore?
It's a mix of the two.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a 5,000 metre programme, and 2,000 metres, approximately 2,000 metres, is to fill in specific gaps in the existing drilling at a couple of the target areas where we've got a decent resource, but we can see some clear holes in the drilling information, and we're pretty confident that filling in those gaps will pay dividends in terms of adding ounces into resource. But that's actually not the main thrust of our program.
And is that, just before we go on to the main thrust, I guess you're hoping there to maybe increase some more indicated, or maybe some measured after this?
Yes, but we're not particularly focused on that side of things just for the moment, because we have a lot of work to do, and we're actually doing a larger program on testing for the first time some targets, peripheral targets, which we've newly identified. As John mentioned earlier, we have increased the ground holding significantly, so now we've got more than 300 square kilometres. So we've identified a lot of structures that haven't been tested at all, drill tested, or even before we sampled them a couple of months ago, hadn't been sampled in any sort of systematic way. So we're pretty confident that we've identified some structures that could, once we start doing resource drilling on those, will significantly add to the resource. So we regard the step out in the infill drilling that we're doing as just a small part of the bigger picture. We've reset our sights on a much bigger resource than we had started out with this now that we've got the extra ground, and we're very excited about what that second part of the drilling, that 3,000 metres, might demonstrate in terms of the overall potential of the project.
It's been a private project for a while, right? So not many people are familiar with it. But say you were to explain to a geo that you just met in a pub or in a meeting, what does the actual deposit look like in terms of what's the host rock? How's it? Is it veiny gold deposits? How does this look in terms of the geological ore body here?
It's fairly typical Birimian shear-hosted mineralisation. Very simple geology. What's a little bit different about the Labola project to some of the other projects that I've seen, and I've worked on the Birimian for a lot now, for the last maybe 30 years, between Ghana and Mali and now Burkina. What's different about Labola, I think, in a positive way, is that we have multiple parallel shear structures that seem to be very, very persistently mineralised. When I say seem to be, I mean the evidence from the historical drilling that has been done, but also the newly identified targets, which are characterised by extensive artisanal mine workings for great strike lengths. We're talking about strike lengths of 25 to 30 kilometres along the shear zone. and that's what makes this really exciting. Geology is relatively simple, the metallurgy appears to be relatively simple so far, and but what makes it stand out for me is that scale potential through that 25 to 30 kilometres of strike.
When I first heard about the story, there's not many new projects where you have 600,000 ounces and it's open at depth, open at strike. It's a new project on the market that people haven't really come across, I guess.
I think it's testament to the way that the owners of the two companies have gone about this. So the shareholders and the management of the two companies have gone about this in putting together the properties in the first place, and now the companies, and hopefully leading to a very bright future ahead.
Well, we'll keep up to date with the results as they come out.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.